We do this every time there is a big swing, but now we've got multiple big swings in both directions in a row. What's happening?
Well, I mean, for one, this is natural for any type of asset that has fixed supply but fluctuating demand, particularly one like Bitcoin that's early on in its life cycle. Now, what other types of assets usually have that kind of nature? Well, store of value assets. And you've probably heard that a lot described for Bitcoin, that's a store of value asset, but it's helpful to think about some of the others, right? So people talk a lot about gold as a store of value asset, but there's a lot of others too. High-end art and collectibles is a $4 to $5 trillion market where, again, people assume you're buying this art because it's beautiful, right? You're buying this vintage Ferrari because, well, maybe you're going to drive it around. These things don't adorn people's walls. They're not driven on the street. They sit in vaults and in warehouses, right? So they are a store of value and a scarce asset because there will be no new Picasso paintings, there will be no new vintage Ferraris, et cetera, right? And real estate actually falls very much in the same kind of category. Maybe not all of the real estate market, but a portion of it. And we can see that in local metropolitan real estate markets like Vancouver, where some of, a significant driver of home prices over the past 10 years has really been overseas purchasers that do not live in the homes and don't collect rental income from them, right? So that's strictly a purchase in a scarce asset that's used as a store of value to preserve capital over time.
Okay, so what would your advice be? Do you buy, do you sell, or do you hold this scarce asset?
Well, that's the thing with the volatility. Look, with trading, there's lots of emotion. So like always what I recommend is that people take a very small percentage of their portfolio, 1% or less probably, and they plan to hold it for at least 3 years at a bare minimum.
So how much of this do you think has to do with Facebook's Libra?
I think that's one of the big things. So I think that Facebook has been the biggest driver just in the past few weeks, maybe, as they've announced. But also I think we have to look at the backdrop of global monetary policy, right? When we're looking at a lot of government bonds that are now yielding negative, right? You get paid negative 1% for 3-year German boons. Well, capital is going to flow into other assets instead of taking a guaranteed loss. We've seen this across the risk spectrum, from tech IPOs into Bitcoin as well, and particularly into scarce assets. So Bitcoin falls in both those categories.
Are you optimistic about Libra, which doesn't exist yet and may not ever?
Yeah, I think it's a hugely ambitious plan, and I think they've put together a great association of partners and a great team internally to work on this. So
even the partners are skeptical.
Sure, some of the partners are skeptical. This is a bold new vision. If you're not skeptical a bit, then you're drinking the Kool-Aid too much, right? There's definitely risk to getting this launch, but if you force me to pick over under, I think they're going to get it out, and I think it'll probably be successful.
Goldman Sachs reportedly is one of the partners that turned Facebook down, but now they're exploring their own digital coin.
Right.
What's your take?
Well, look, so I think we're going to see a lot more efforts in the space. Facebook is just going to set off a new wave of people exploring what are they going to do with blockchain technology. So I think that, whether we look at JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, some of these others, what you need to look for, I think the ones that are going to have the most success over time are the ones that use public permissionless networks. So that's like the internet, ones where everyone can access them. You can plug in almost anyone in the world, any business can build on top of it, as opposed to intranets. So JP Morgan coin, for example, would be an intranet that's only internal to the organization.